going on, people of YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. This is Todd with N-Power Automotive. Kind of a little update on something that happened to me pretty recently. So it was around 10:30 at night. I was going to fill up my car with gas because I was on E, and I went to this gas station that's right off of the freeway so that I could get gas, hop on the freeway, and then hopefully get some octane learning going. Well, the first problem is I ran into a traffic jam on the way after getting gas, and so I was unsuccessful at octane learning, which is a real downer because soon after that is when I hit a absolutely massive pothole and thought the whole suspension of my car fell out. I hit it so hard. So I couldn't really see it that night because of course it was nighttime, so I checked it out in the next morning. And lo and behold, I had a little bit of a bend in my front passenger side rim. So it hit hard enough to bend it. It's, I'll show you the pictures or some video of the bend itself. It's really kind of hard to pick up on, but it's definitely there on the area where the valve stem is. It caved in a little bit. So basically I ended up ordering a new wheel from Tire Rack, the same exact wheel. Thankfully it was in stock. It's an inexpensive wheel, so it wasn't too expensive to replace and just get a new one. And then I had to pay for, of course, discount tire, taking the old tire, or I should say taking the tire off the old wheel that was bent, putting it on the new one, balancing it and all that. So all in all, it was about $250, just under $250 total to fix the problem by getting a new wheel, and everything's good. And yeah, not could have been a lot worse. The way that it hit, like I said, I thought I did some major damage to it. I know there's been some people that have hit potholes and actually really screwed up the suspension in the Elantra N. So thankfully it wasn't that. The wheel took the brunt of it, obviously. Even though they're budget wheels, they're inexpensive. Considering how hard I hit that pothole, I'm actually pleased that it was just a small bend in the wheel, because it was an absolutely ferocious hit. So that's been going on. That happened pretty recently, so I've been dealing with that. And then the other thing is I've been really wanting to get an intake for my car. And so I weighed all the options between the different intakes, and I had made up my mind that the intake and turbo inlet that I was going to go with was Forge. But the unfortunate part is that, well, hold on a second. This is one of my favorite twisties, so hopefully this truck doesn't get us. Oh, and a deer. Hello, buddy. Definitely have to be careful on these back roads with deer. So anyway, Forge, it has like been on order for an intake, at least for N75 Motorsports, which is where I was going to buy it from. It's been on order for months and months, and there's no update whatsoever on when Forge is going to fulfill, I guess, the orders that have already been placed and new orders. So, you know, it's the most expensive intake on the market. There's a good reason for it. It sounds amazing from what I've heard on sound clips, but the unfortunate part is it's just impossible to get right now. I'll give you my number 2 intake that I was looking at was the AFE Stage 2 with a dry filter and the turbo inlet. And while that one is definitely less expensive and it's available as far as I can tell, I've just seen too many people say that with that intake, there really is no increase in turbo noise because it's still a closed box once the hood is shut, which makes sense, but that's the whole benefit of keeping the heat away, although it's been tested and it's minimal heat gain with the Forge. So I decided to just stick to my guns. I'm getting a Forge and a Forge inlet at some point. I just don't know when it's going to happen because, like I said, it's just I can't get one. I've been trying to hunt down used ones. They go like right away. Hopefully at some point Forge will catch up on their production. I'll put it on with the inlet and do an installation video, and then my impressions of the intake and inlet afterwards. So at some point that's going to happen. All right, and lastly, guys, the other thing that's kind of happened recently, and actually today that I'm shooting this video, is all of the YouTube reviewers are releasing their driving impressions of the Integra Type S. So I've been very interested to hear if what Acura did is if they did actually soften the suspension, give it some more noise, and make it more of like a touring version of the car versus a track car like the Type R, which is what I love about the Elantra N, of course, is that it plays both those roles very well for a lot less money. But what I really like about the Integra Type S is the interior. It does not have a DCT, of course. You have to get the 6-speed manual, but I could definitely go back to driving manual. My wife has only driven my car one time just to test it out in the almost year I've had it. So the chances of not being able to drive and having her have to drive the car are slim. So once things cool down with the market, maybe I will potentially consider that car, because everything that I was hoping for that they do, they kind of did. I bet you it still does not ride as good as the Elantra does, so that would have to be a definitely tested out in person thing. And then the other part of it is that the exhaust is, although it does sound good and it has some pops and burbles, from what I've heard on the reviews, it's still much quieter than this Elantra N exhaust. And personally, I like the tone of this one a little better than that. From what I've heard, again, on the reviews, I haven't driven it in person, of course, and probably won't be able to drive one in person for like probably a year. But then this car does that, and it's just it's so much fun. So as I'm talking about a car that I would consider in the future, this car is just still so fun to drive on a daily basis. And let me know your guys' thoughts on any of those. As far as the intake, do you think it's smart waiting for the Forge to be available? And then, yeah, what do you guys think about that Integra Type S as far as the reviewers, what they're saying? Leave your comments, like, subscribe. Till the next one, peace out.